Hello everyone, and thank you for watching this presentation. My name is Yiwei Wang, and I'm the co-author of the paper Once More with the Right Feeling. And today I'll be introducing this paper. It is a qualitative study on how Chinese historical fiction writers interact with ChatGPT-4 during the creative process. This research was conducted by myself and my collaborators, and I'm very delighted to share with you our research process and some of the key findings. First of all, let me introduce the complexity of Chinese historical fiction. So this slide shows an outline provided by one of our participants. A Chinese novelist, during a pre-experiment interview, and she said, "I use outlines and flowcharts to ensure logical consistency, detailing character developments and plot twists." Her notes also include background elements like households and specific references to the Ming Dynasty, revealing the intense historical knowledge and narrative control required in her work. Chinese historical fiction is a highly demanding genre. It combines historical authenticity with imaginative storytelling and emotional engagement. Writers must master cultural symbolism, subtle rhetoric, and flexible narrative structures that often gradually reveal the theme. Now, tools like ChatGPT are entering this space, but this raises important questions. Can AI really support such culturally complex writing? Will it generate content with cultural bias or a lack of originality? Chinese historical fiction is a perfect lens to examine how AI handles creativity that is both high stakes and culturally sensitive. So to explore this, we focused on three core research questions. The first one is, what challenges do writers face when writing historical novels with generative AI support? The second question is, what strategies do they adopt to address ChatGPT's limitations? And the third question is, how do writers perceive ChatGPT's effectiveness in tasks like character development, outlining, and historical accuracy checking? So we conducted a qualitative study with 32 Chinese fiction writers. These included both professional and amateur authors, magazine editors, and popular web fiction writers. All had experience writing full-length Chinese historical fictions. Before the experiment, we also assessed their familiarity with AI tools and give them a short training session on how to use ChatGPT-4. The experiment simulated three key tasks in the writing process. The first one is creating character cards. So participants use ChatGPT-4 to design rich and believable characters with background, appearances, and personality details. The second one is creating a novel outline. So participants generated outlines using ChatGPT-4 mapping story structures, and plot turns. The third one is checking for defects in their original text. So in this section, participants provided their own writing drafts and ChatGPT-4 ChatGPT-4 we use to check for logical issues such as language clarity, and historical accuracy. So after each task, we conducted semi-structured interviews to gather feedback on their experience and reflections on using ChatGPT. Each writer participated in a 90-minute experiment, completing the three tasks in a 30-minute segments. We gave them specific prompts and keywords related to Chinese history. However, they were not allowed to use external sources like search engines or books during the experiment. The order of the task was randomized to avoid bias. We recorded all interactions, prompts, user inputs, ChatGPT-4 responses, and participants' actions were documented for thematic analysis. So next slide, here we show an example of how participant 6, who's an editor, engaged with ChatGPT-4 across different tasks. Although each task demanded a different approach, we found some subtle behaviors. For example, prompt input and question explanation were consistent stages. This highlights how, even when using AI, writers apply structures, task-specific strategies based on their goals. So So this is the data collection of our experiment. To collect our data, we asked each participant to co-write a piece of historical fiction using ChatGPT 4 while screen recording the entire session, including both what they typed and what they said out aloud. This gave us over 60 hours of video plus around 15,000 words of chat logs. After each task, we also conducted a 40-minute interview with each person to explore their thoughts, challenges, and strategies in more depth. For analysis, we transcribed all the audio, and 2 researchers did open coding to label key actions like regenerate or fact checking. We built a shared codebook and recorded all the data, reaching strong agreement. And finally, we use thematic analysis to group the findings into major categories like tool strengths, emotional challenges, and writing strategies. We also tracked simple stats like how often people ask the AI to retry to support our patterns. Here it goes to our results. So let me start with the main challenges our participants faced when using ChatGPT 4 to help write historical fiction. So first, historical accuracy often still takes a lot of time and effort. So even though the AI can provide general facts, authors still had to manually check details, like which emperor ruled in a certain year, and how people addressed each other, or what kind of clothes they were. So ChatGPT cannot guarantee that any of this was correct. And second, using the right language for the right dynasty was really difficult. So each Chinese dynasty had different styles of speaking and writing. For example, Tang poems sound very different from Qing government documents. So writers had to rewrite sentences again to make sure they sounded authentic. And finally, there are subtle cultural details that ChatGPT just doesn't get. So things like body gestures, local dialects, or hidden political meanings often slip past the model. Now let's take a closer look at the problems inside the model itself. So one issue is cultural misunderstanding. So for example, the AI confused a Chinese mythical creature with the Japanese nine-tailed fox. In another case, it suggested that a royal palace in Asian China should have a Western-style dance party, which of course makes no sense. It also shows strong storytelling bias. It likes to make historical characters look more perfect than they really were. So it avoids talking about failure or suffering. And it often tries to wrap up each story with a happy ending, even though it doesn't fit in the actual history. And another problem is hallucination. This means that the model gives you very confident answers that are really wrong. For example, one participant found that ChatGPT had gave conflict-ring dates for the same emperor, all in one paragraph. So when it comes to characters, their emotions and motivations are often too simple. The model repeats the same expressions like he was brave and smart, but cannot really describe why someone behaves in a certain way. And finally, the model struggles to stay in the right language style. Even when it starts in a formal classic tone, it often slips back into modern or casual language halfway through. So how well does ChatGPT actually do when it comes to different parts of writing? So let's look at 3 common tasks. First, character design. The good part is that AI is very fast. It can quickly give you names, family backgrounds, and personality traits. This is really helpful if you don't know where to start. But the bad part is that these characters often feel flat, unrealistic, and even historically wrong. And second, making a plot outline. The AI is great at structuring. It knows how to set up a beginning, a middle, and an end. This helps new writers get going. But many participants said the plots it made were too predictable or too positive. It loves happy endings, even when the real story was tragic or complex. And third, it's revising text. The model was pretty good at checking grammar and making small suggestions to improve the flow of the paragraph. Now, how did our participants deal with those limitations? What strategies actually help? First, they learned to build the prompts step by step. Instead of giving one big instruction, they added more detail gradually, like the dynasty, tone of voice, and plot format to keep the AI on the right path. And second, they use two main ways to fix bad output. Some people give direct feedback to ChatGPT that this feels wrong. Try again in the more formal style. Others just hit regenerate button again, and then pick the version they like the best. Third, they broke big tasks into smaller parts. So one writer started with an outline and used that to generate a lot of events. Then asked ChatGPT to help build each character. And fourth, more advanced users train the AI on their own writing. For example, one game writer gives the ChatGPT examples of their past work, and after a few rounds, the model started to mimic their personal style much better. And fifth, some people learn to ask very specific, narrow questions. Instead of saying, "Tell me about the Ming Dynasty," they ask, "What kind of taxes did the rural family play in the late Ming?" That reduced hallucinations. And finally, many people start to treat the AI like a conversational partner. Instead of giving it orders, they worked with it like a co-editor, giving feedback, correcting tone, and steering it closer to their version. Finally, here's what we think future AI writing tools should include. First of all, they need a verified knowledge base to reduce hallucinations, maybe linked to historical timelines or academic databases. And second, they should offer different modes: beginner templates with more help, and expert modes with more advanced controls for tone, citations, and level of detail. And third, they need better cultural and emotional understanding, so the AI can sound more human, more poetic, and more aware of things like Chinese traditions or complex emotions. And next one, they could even add multimodal support. For example, if you describe a scene in Tang Dynasty, the system could generate an image of what the room or clothing might look like. And finally, the tool should tell you where its information comes from, and when it's unsure. That makes collaboration more transparent and safe. So to conclude our paper, generative AI like ChatGPT-4 has real potential to support writers, especially in structural and editorial tasks. It can help novice authors to get started and produce complete drafts. However, it lacks some emotional depth, intuition, and cultural insight required for truly resonant storytelling. And creative writing, especially in culturally complex genres, requires a relationship between writer and reader, something AI cannot fully replicate. So our research shows that experienced writers use AI more effectively, not because they depend on it, but because they know how and when to modify it. And beginners and experts need different forms of AI support. So yeah, that's all for my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.